We're live. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. Glad we could get the time together. So tell me, Joey, what's your Among Us experience lately? How's it been going?
Lately,
Yeah.
this season's going pretty well for me. Um, the crew games I've lost, I'd say are my fault. I've only lost
Mm-hmm.
twice, so I'm pretty happy with that. Um, and then the imp games I've been playing with like some better players, so not really expected to win all that much. But I did
Right.
have one uh win, which was really unexpected. Uh, against Tom and Chippy on three.
Yeah, so
That
tell
was
me about
funny.
that. How did you pull it off? What went right?
So I was getting cleared off meta by Tom and Chippy like basically the whole game. And really what I did was I was just kind of marinating them, but
Mm-hmm.
not really on purpose. Like Tom said I could have killed him uh in the on the node next to weapons and I didn't. So he thought I was a crewmate. Chippy said I could have killed him in O2 hallway, but I didn't. So they just thought I was crew.
Yeah.
And
Was that
I pushed
intentional,
them.
or did you just not think to kill them?
So for Tom, I passed two crewmates in office, so it just would have been a shit kill, but he didn't know that.
I see.
And
Yeah.
then Chippy, I didn't have kill cooldown up 'cause I killed before. So
How funny.
uh yeah. So what I did was I ended up killing on drill. This is when 10 people were alive and my partner got a kill somewhere else on the map.
Yeah.
And I after it was during comms and after comms got fixed, I just sat in storage for like 5 seconds. And Tom seen it on the admin table. Then I went up to Elec, ran through, slipped past Chippy, um, whatever, body gets called. My partner's getting sussed, which was Kate. And then we ended up shooting out someone. It was like a 50-50 between him and Kate. And we shot a crewmate.
Yep.
And then button next round, Kate gets a kill right before the button goes off.
I see. And did Kate
Shoot her, she's
claim?
guaranteed. Yep.
Did she claim scan?
She did claim scam, but it didn't matter. They were just shooting her.
I see.
We go to five, and Sen, I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yep, I know Sen.
He didn't know. He blatantly said he wanted me to skip on him because what happened was it was me, Tom, Chippy, Sen, and Chicken on five. No one knew who it was. I was still getting meta
Chicken's
cleared.
back. Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, Chicken is back. He's playing right now, actually, too.
That's amazing. Like all these OG players have resurfaced. They've come out of
Yeah,
the
I'm pumped
woodwork.
to get everybody back.
Isn't that so cool? I think it's maybe partially hyped from the tournament.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't. Lately, we've been having like at least three lobbies full every night from what I've seen this season. So
That's so cool. Like this is
yeah,
the dream, right? Like I remember for the longest time people have been talking about, oh, you know, Among Us is dying, and especially ranked diet. Well, we've redeemed Sing mode. Ranked Among Us is dying. Everyone thinks so. Thanks a lot, Flipper. It's great to have you on the stream, making the interview really annoying. Awesome. Well, yeah, Flipper, if you want a specific song, make it really short so that we don't have too much of the interview just dominated by sing mode. But yeah, so JoJo, tell me, what is the thing that keeps you coming back to playing ranked?
uh, honestly, I think it's more like the people. I really enjoy playing with everybody on the server. Like it's not so much the game; it's more like the friends I've made over time.
Yeah, that's it. It
So
is the people, right? It is to me, and sorry to just tread on your
no, you're
answer,
good.
but I completely agree. It's a social deduction game with a capital S in social. And if you just shit on everyone and you are nasty to them, then, the friends part kind of just doesn't really work. Except
Yeah,
if it's all in good fun.
yeah,
If it's like a bunch of guys and you all know each other and you're sort of just having friendly ribbing or trash talk or whatever, it's totally fine. It crosses a
yeah.
line if you're sort of bullying or harassing someone. If they aren't laughing along with you, something's up.
I agree. Two things. I always try to like if I throw a game, like take I'll always take the fall for it. If like all right, yeah, I throw you, like you can flame me, but if someone else throws my game, I usually use like the 5 minute rule. I'll
Yeah.
kind of just flame them, tell them what they did wrong, and then just move on.
Yep.
After 5 minutes, that's I
That's
think
a
they
good
get it at
way.
that point.
You sort of like time box the negativity and the criticism.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, there's a request from Hybris to raid Zordlin after the stream. I'll do so, definitely. If he's live, if he's not, then we'll raid someone else. You let me know. And Hybris also says we love JoeJoe, so much love for you,
Thank
JoeJoe.
you, Hybris.
Yes.
To finish up that game before though,
Yes, tell me.
I think yeah. So I left it. So we were on five. Uh, so Tom just said out of nowhere, I think I want to vote Sen here. He thinks that's Kate's partner. And I said as an imp, I was like, I think we should skip. And then
Oh.
and Chippy and Sen were like, yeah, skip. And then I asked Chicken what he was doing. He's like, oh, I voted Sen. So I shout out Sen,
Oh, you
and
claimed
he's
to skip, and then you
no
actually
no
vote
no no.
Sen?
So I did I claimed my vote on him. I
I
did claim
see.
but my original idea was to skip.
Yep.
Just because everyone was sus. But
Yeah,
anyway,
and
we vote
sometimes
him
that's
out.
good as imp, is skipping when they're trying to vote a crew, so that you can keep that crew alive and frame them.
Yeah, yeah. And he said like I don't know who it is between Chippy and Tom, Joey, you're brain dead. And so at that point I just knew. Like I was like I have to bag this.
You could
Um
see the dub appearing.
yeah, I see the W on my screen. Four people left, we button.
Isn't that
Uh
such a good feeling when you know that the crew is screwed?
four people left, we button. We're just like talking about whatever, who we think it is, and then they bring up tasks, like how many tasks everybody have left, and I was like, oh, I have none. And then Chippy like doesn't say anything for 5 seconds. He's like, there's no way you're done with tasks. I was like, oh shit. And then
Yeah.
he just starts like hard accusing me because everyone else has like 5, 6 tasks left. But the thing is, like, I watched the VOD back, and there was definitely enough time to get tasks done as a crewmate.
Totally.
Uh, so yeah, fast forward, it's on regular. It's not on imp server. It's on regular, so we can't pre-plan,
Yeah.
and there's also no timer. So we're just running around as four. Tom, we end up in lab. Tom goes on his telescope. He's on it for like at least 10 seconds.
Wow.
So I was assuming he faked like
He's trying to get you to
some of it.
kill so that
Yeah,
he can
so
see you.
I,
Yeah.
I, I killed Chicken, insta self-reported, and I'm hard accusing Chippy. And then Tom votes wrong on Chippy
Nice.
because of the round I was sat in storage when the double kill happened after comms.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That was his only reasoning.
That's funny. Yeah, sometimes it's like it's all about what happened on the previous rounds. Like if you're gonna pull off the self-report on 4 or on 3 or whatever, yeah,
Yeah,
you have
I
to
just thought it was
set it up.
particularly like great because Tom and Chippy don't. If they're both alive and four on their crew, they're not losing that game.
Yeah, good job, man. I mean, like those are not inexperienced players, so every now and then the stars align, and you sort of set it up with previous round play.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
there's the things you mentioned around the accidental marination. That's like good to reflect on because you can think about sometimes it's better not to take even a very juicy kill and instead
hmm
milk it for the marination.
Yeah, and that's kind of been like my strategy going forward now is more just like marinating people. I think
Yeah,
it's kind of an underrated tactic,
it's
especially in the better lobbies.
it's definitely a sweaty play, you know? Because if you marinate in a casual lobby, people start asking like, "Wait a second,
Yeah,
what are you doing?" Right? But
yeah.
it's definitely like table stakes in a sweaty lobby as imp. Um, yeah, so like that's good stuff, man. What do you think are like some of the groundbreaking tech that you've seen as imp? Like, have you ever seen another imposter pull off something really cool, like a sick play?
Let's see. Off the top of my head, no, but maybe I can think of one. I think like anytime that if someone's playing second imp and they can place someone else, if they can place their imp buddy on the map and there's like another person on admin or like two crewmates on admin, I think that's like if you can get away with doing that, I would say that's pretty next level. I think that's like one of the best ways to clear your imp is if there's specifically more than one person on admin table
And you still get
and
away with like a
and you still get
misplay.
away with placing a blip and like the people on admin are like accounting for it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because that blip could be a body, for example,
Yeah.
and then you can
And
just have your imp partner claim that to be them.
yeah, and also another play I like too is like if you're seen like in a three, if you're an imp and your partner kills and you're seen in like a three-way clear,
Yep.
if you say like, oh, I was just in lab with these two crewmates,
It
whatever.
sounds like a three-way clear.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds like a three-way. Like I didn't get the kill. I'm walking out of lab, and I say I see my partner running into lab. The kill's an
yeah.
O2.
Yep, yep.
Like, and they take it as if okay, yeah, he's probably not lying because he was just with us in
Exactly.
the yeah
Yeah, the fake three-way clear I think is like definitely a very solid way to get away with stuff because it doesn't sound like a pair. That's the key.
yeah right
You don't really want a hard pair with your imp partner.
right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Cool, man. So,
What'd you think of the tournament?
tournament was really fun to cast. It was a 10-hour stream. That's a pretty exhausting chunk of time to be,
Yeah,
dedicating to a hobby. But it was a lot of fun. I think like it was great hanging out with the other casters. Nate, Driller, and Tax all like really did a great job. Especially big shout out to Nate, sort of carrying the stream even when I had to go off and do family stuff. So really appreciate the casting team. A lot of work put in behind the scenes by mods. Like shout out to Ox, shout out to Asian Dumbum, like putting in a lot of the work to establish the sort of administrative and coding side of things. And then also big shout out to Starlight in particular, having done 3 big roles in the tournament. Firstly being the biggest donator. She was the biggest sponsor. She was also the one who sort of took responsibility for handcrafting the manual scoring system in case things went down, and then also made updates to the scoring system live to rebalance things for fairness across rounds. And then in addition to all that, she also did a ton of actual moderation during the tournament. So yeah, hands down, just MVP staff member for the tournament, Starlight. So yeah,
yeah, I agree.
really, really good stuff. And the players, that was incredible gameplay. Like even under the heavy pressure of $1,000 in prizes and 10 hours, or I guess it was like 9 hours of play, but 10-hour stream. But yeah, I mean, after playing 9 hours of something pretty mentally taxing, to still be pulling off these amazing imp wins in really crew favored lobbies is just incredible. Like, big props,
Did anyone
Saitama.
surprise you that you were watching like that
Oh,
played
for
better than you thought
sure.
they were going to?
Yeah, I mean, like, um, for example, Decode, definitely. Like he's been in the scene for a long time, and some people have sort of thought of him as like, oh, he's on a growth journey and improving and so on. But he definitely stepped up a lot for the tournament. Surprised in another way was XYZZ. Like a lot of people thought that he would be favored to win the overall tournament. In fact, at the start of the stream, there's a question like, oh, who's going to win? A lot of people were sort of favoring XYZ. And then the question was between him and Saitama. And I did actually tip that Saitama was my favorite to win the tournament. And he did win. Not
Yep.
that like means much, like it's a lot of luck does go into it, but he did also play incredibly well. So yeah, props to him. XYZZ sort of knows how to play the game and like play towards the points. And so his gameplay would sometimes not necessarily favor winning in the moment, but getting himself out of a 50-50 and maximizing his own individual score, which is a pretty interesting way to do it. And, there's a reason why he usually finishes in the top 10 for almost any tournament he plays in. So, yeah. A lot of,
Yeah.
yeah, people just really stepped up their game. I mean, Mikey was 5th. A lot of people sort of say, like, Mikey is, like, takes things a little bit less seriously, but, he really
I
brought it
love
home.
playing with Mikey.
Yeah,
I think he's really underrated as a player, honestly.
definitely. Great guy, too, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like going back to what you said about like the whole friend thing.
Yeah,
It's nice somebody that's you think is above average in the game, and they're also nice to hang out with like outside of like talk about the games
yep.
or like can hang out or whatever.
Yeah, right. Like
So I
someone that
think
you'd want to talk to, even if you're not literally just trying to get a victory screen. If you just want to hang
right.
out and chat with them, like it's important that they are like a decent person, um, and aren't just there to shit on people. Makes all the difference. Yeah,
Yeah, we have had a new influx of new players since the tournament though that
that
I've
is
seen.
really rewarding and also very reassuring that they didn't just instantly rage quit from all the flaming. Like, I'm very reassured that people have started taking to heart the idea of being nice to new people
Yeah.
and not just pushing them out of the server. Because as a new person, like, you're gonna throw a lot because you don't really know what you're doing necessarily, and ranked is super sweaty, and so there's gonna be a lot of throws. But I think the retention has been pretty good. The growth of ranked is continuing, and as much as people like to say it's dying, I think it is actually on the upturn.
Yeah, I think definitely after that tournament, it's on the uptrend again.
Yeah, really, really positive. Really glad to see it. So yeah, I mean, I hope that's not the last tournament we have. It's obviously very good for the health of the community to have tournaments like that. And then like the next
Yeah,
big thing
honest.
is like the 5-up lobby. Like I think that's going to be really cool. Or maybe I should say lobbies. Like the latest thinking is to have sort of a split into strictly sweaty and then maybe another one that's like high EQ. So like decent people.
Yeah,
And who are also still good at the game, but uh, if you stack rank like nice person versus sweaty player, which is more important, and then you can have a lobby where each of those is the priority.
I see what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely really hope 5 comes to play. I saw when you were interviewing him, he said he'd be down to give it a try. So I'd
Yeah,
love to
exactly.
play with
And
him.
like there's been engagement from sort of the people that he hangs out with, like his moderator Quicks, the server admin over in Waffle, Wiz,
Oh
Stell,
yeah, I played
who
with
sort
them
of
before.
yeah,
Yeah,
Stell who runs the lobbies, a few of these people, 19, who's like one of the council members over there. Like there's a few people who sort of like run in that social circle who are willing to put in some of the effort. Avery, who's the YouTube manager, has also been very involved. It is difficult to sort of like get a direct conversation or get him to reply to DMs, but he's a busy guy, and this is probably really low on his list of priorities because he sort of moved on from Among Us in general. However, he seems to be also coming back to the scene, sort of interested in seeing how all of this can play out. And I'm really sort of pleased to see that.
yeah,
Originally, he was just playing Thursdays,
mine
and now
too.
it's like
Yeah.
Tuesday and Thursday apparently. So yeah, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say like I remember him saying that it would a lot of his lobbies he feels like would be task wins if he played in ranked and like it wouldn't even really be a challenge to him. I'd love to see him just step into a lobby without like any pre-mades and just see what happens and just play with these ranked players who play,
Yeah, I mean, if he plays
every
with
day.
just total random lobby, then I think maybe the quality of play won't quite be there. And then the narrative would just be, oh, these are people who are at like the level he was maybe 5 years ago or something, right? Like
Right. Yeah, so
it's
maybe like an upscale lobby, but still
exactly.
like
You need some standard of play where like imps have to pull off some pretty good stuff to be able to win. Otherwise, it's going to be a task win, and that tends to be like I don't know, like gold plus type of players. Someone who isn't going to get farmed for imp wins.
yeah.
But at the same time, you don't really want a toxic experience where, like, suppose that 5-up loses as imp. You don't want people calling him washed or sort of shitting on him because that's not a very wholesome
Yeah.
or like why would he want to come back, right? Like you need to have a lobby that is pleasant to work with. Someone who doesn't yell over the mic. Like if people are clogging, that's not a fun experience either. So people need to sort of learn when to stop speaking in the meeting. Like who should be talking first. Like whoever found the body probably needs to give the body location, unless they yield the mic or like if they push the button, probably let them talk. If they're a hard clear, maybe listen to them instead of saying, "Oh, they're a bad player. I'm just gonna like talk over the top of them because I can't trust their clears because they threw the last crew game. They're such a bad player. They should leave the server forever." Like this sort of attitude is just horrible.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we've kind of been seeing it like a little bit this especially I feel like it happens a lot towards the beginning of the season and the end of the season
Yeah,
when people care most about their MR.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Right at the
but
start of the season, there's like always all the lobbies are full because everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is my chance. I can prove myself. I can get all these wins." Right, and then at the end of the season, it's also like, oh, people start complaining that they're not gaining very much MMR for a win, and they get
right,
really upset for a crew loss.
right, yeah. And
Yeah,
that's like the double-edged sword of playing in a good lobby is, you're gonna get a lot of crew wins, but you're gonna very rarely win as imp.
yeah,
And I think at the later stages of the season when you're getting like one MR or two MR crew game, like that's when the imp wins like start to become more important if
yeah.
you want to finish like a decent rank.
Definitely, it's similar to the tournament. Like you pretty much had to get imp, to get into the final five type of deal, and then you had to win as imp.
Right.
So yeah, I feel bad for Abdu who literally didn't get imp once. That's so unfortunate.
Yeah, I
And
saw
he's such
that.
a an imp addict, you know.
Yeah.
I see a bit of myself in Abdu as well. You know, obsessed with imposter and asleep at the wheel during crewmate game because it is dull. Like I view it as a bit of a task simulator, and yeah, sure, there's a bit of deduction and giving info, but for the most part, like you are such a small part of the puzzle, whereas as imp, you are literally half the team, and a lot rests on your shoulders.
Yeah, and that yeah. So typically, like when I play my crew games, like that's how I think it is. I'm just like a little like give like a little bit of info.
Yeah,
I'm more of a listener than a speaker.
which is
Like
good.
I'm very rarely leading meetings unless I have so many clears or like
Right.
I just know who it is
Yeah, if
based
you
on
happen to
whatever.
see someone vent or slash in front of you, then of course you'll speak up. But you're
Right.
not going to be like, oh my god, this guy was on water wheel for like 8 seconds. Like that's a really
Yeah.
sus action, and like he went the wrong direction after that. It's like, yeah, all right, let someone else speak who has better info.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, good times. I like the direction the server's going in. Um, yeah, what do you think Purple needs to do better?
I think purple needs to do better.
Yeah,
As a community or like from a like an admin
a pretty open-ended
POV.
question here. Like the way I usually phrase this question is, if you could wave a magic wand, what's something that you'd fix about the server or the community?
Hmm. I I definitely think like hard people that want to like hard dodge each other, like oh I
Mm-hmm.
can't play with this person.
Yep.
That's like I don't know. That seems like a little too far. Like I'm like I definitely have my blacklist of players like I don't want to play with,
Yep.
and if I can avoid them, great. But like if there's other good players in the lobby, like I'll join. And I think it's just more of like, do
Okay,
you
so then it comes down to why you're dodging them. Do you dodge them because they're not very good at
what
the
right?
game, or do you dodge
Eh,
them because they are like unacceptably toxic?
yeah, and most of the time for me, it's both. Like it's just like if they're toxic, like I probably think they're bad at the game, and that may just be bias because I don't
Right.
like them.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that's just I don't know. That's just my POV. But my blacklist is like very like short and sweet, and
Yeah.
also it's not really like a permanent. Like it's not like I
Sure.
cannot play with this
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
you
It's
know?
just like you're timing them out or whatever. You're not
Yeah, and
necessarily
then also
permaban.
too to answer your original question, I think like an ego check. I
Definitely.
think everybody like there's a lot of players with huge egos,
Yep.
whether they're good or not.
Yep.
I think it's a little frustrating. Like people, ever since like the tier list thing started, people always argue about where they
Absolutely.
should be on the tier list.
Yep.
And granted, like I think it's okay to give your 2 cents as to why you think you're above somebody or like why you think you should be placed there. But that's really it. It should be up to one person who has played with the top 20 the most. I think that's the best
Sure.
way to do it. And it should be really up to their discretion. And then with the
I mean,
top
I think
20, like
the best way to avoid some of that egotistical stuff is like just don't have an opinion on where you yourself should be. Let
yeah.
that be everyone else's say. You can have an opinion on other people, but don't like try to reinforce the narrative of where you should be, because that comes across as egotistical. Because
That's a very good point. Yeah.
no one ever argues that they themselves are bad. I mean, the people who are good might do that,
Yeah.
right? Like the way that usually comes about is if you praise someone, they will sort of be humble,
Right.
right? Like if you say
Right.
like you're a really good imposter, and they'll be like, oh my god, lately I've been throwing some games, this sort of thing. It's like the opposite of Dunning Kruger, like Dunning Kruger being the effect where people who don't know very much have like unfound confidence and think that they're like the best,
Yeah, and
right?
it's super frustrating, especially like those type of players, like in my experience, like bring you down too.
Yeah,
Like they just think that they're so much better than you, and it's like, dude, I don't really think that personally. Like you're much better than me. I'm not gonna say
right.
anything back, but it's just
Yeah, and
like what?
it's
Because
it's
why start that
unfortunate because
argument?
it actually limits their growth because they are already convinced that they're flawless, It's very
Right.
limiting because until you accept that everyone throws and that everyone can always play better, that includes yourself, like then, you will not try to be improving. You will just try to drag everyone else down, um, because you already see yourself as this like unassailable best player in the world, right? Like,
Right, and that goes for anything you do too,
yeah,
not just
exactly.
the
I
game.
mean, a lot of these things apply outside of Among Us because they're very sort of generic phrasing. Like these are just universal truths. There will always be someone better than you, and there will always be someone worse than you. Even if you are like the best in the world by some measure, like there's going to be another way in which you could still improve.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, I think right now I'm probably at like peaking, and think I've been getting better like as I played. Especially like back in the day from Nutters, like I think I'm way better than what I was when I played on Nutters, and I think that also has to just do with the competition and who I've been playing with. I think when you play with better people, you end up just getting a lot better because like the
Yes,
standard is raised so much higher.
that's definitely true. And you can see like better examples of people around you. And also, when other people are playing well, it encourages you and inspires you to play better because you want to
Yeah.
raise to their standard. Just like if there's someone bad in your lobby, you sort of end up getting demotivated and not trying as hard. Like if
Right.
someone
Yeah. I
is,
mean, honestly, if I know someone bad is in my lobby, I know that I need to I know that I need to try really hard to carry the
sure,
crew.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But like the if three people are like giving bad info or whatever in the game, then you sort of know that even if you get good info, you've lost, right? Like that's demotivating. If they're
Right.
like on four, running off to random directions instead of stacking, you're like, okay, this is game over, right? They're just gonna go
Yeah.
get killed in Specie alone, right? Like it sucks,
I
right?
literally threw, and you know what's so funny about that? I'll talk about one of my throws. I literally we were on four. We put somebody in cage.
Mm.
And the crewmate that we were stacking with, finished their task and then just ran off. So, but the other crewmate buttons and was like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you not stacking?" He's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize."
Oh
Like,
no.
newer player to the server, whatever. We
Yeah,
put him
yeah.
in cage, and then the
He
imposter's
dies.
with us.
Yeah.
I'm on my task, and the imp kills the other hard clear. I vote wrong on three,
Oh no.
and that all could have been avoided if he just if he didn't
He's
even like,
yeah stayed with the group.
yeah, like
See, that's
we
the
would
thing
not have
because
buttoned to
like
put him in cage.
because you now have to put him in cage, you've got two sus people. So it's just going to be 50-50.
Right.
Yeah.
It was with them too to begin with. That's why we had one in cage and he was with us. It's just like I don't know.
That's
It was a weird
frustrating.
game, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. So what do you think is your current growth area?
Like where do I need to improve in?
Yeah. Or what are
I
you trying
definitely
to improve in?
um so specifically for crew, I'm trying to get better at like clearing people when if it's like okay, this happened during comms, like let's say I'm in comms doing my upload, comms get called, someone walks in, I see them walk in, whatever, like the kills somewhere on the map, and I'm not sure if I can clear them. I think
Yeah.
it's just like timing of when I meet up with someone like mid round and whether or not I can clear them, whether the kill is old or not.
Yeah.
Um, I I would say like I'm more on the conservative side with my clears,
Right.
and
And that's like a good thing to be, right? Like you don't
yeah,
want to miss clear. That's much much worse than failing to clear someone.
right, and I would say like I don't even think I
So are you
this season
what you're
I
saying
haven't
is you're
miscleared anybody,
trying
but
to like give more clears. Like
right,
you're
yeah, try to get more clears and better info for the
right.
crew to
You're
decide.
not trying to clean up misclears because you're saying you're not doing that much. You're trying
Yeah.
to avoid the opposite problem where like you could have cleared someone but you chose not to because you're being too conservative.
Yeah, that's definitely something I can improve on.
I see.
And then for Imp, I don't know. When I play Imp, like I kind of just go with the flow. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily have a plan.
Hmm.
Um, I definitely think like being more aware of the situation, like, and I'm not saying the fact like, okay, this person's sus, keep them alive. Like I think like I can do that without thinking about it, but
Sure.
more of like plan of action.
Yeah, so like
Um,
I see this sometimes, right? Like, do you ever get into that situation where the first round passes by, no kills happen, and then you both sort of just sitting there, and then you imp chat like, "What's the plan?" Have you been in that situation?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like feeling aimless, rudderless, like no one is sort of taking charge as imposter. So
yeah. Like
yeah,
some people I play with, like I don't know. It typically like I think I'm more of a better second imp.
yeah,
But if I know my partner is just like better at the game than me,
hmm
then I'll just try to kill, and I'll play first imp. But like
Oh,
I don't know
really?
why
You think
my
that the
second
better
imp.
M should be second?
Yeah, I think so. Because
Okay.
I think crew is gonna probably cheat more towards them.
And
Um,
like the first imp is probably going to get voted out sooner.
yes,
I
that's
see. So
correct.
you're
Yeah.
going to try to keep the second imp alive and have them carry and clutch like 1v7 type of deal.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like what I mean the goal is hopefully I think like if you can get it down to six and you're and it's 1v5, I think that's very
That's definitely
reasonable.
winnable. Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
definitely winnable.
I'd say that and that for me that's kind of like the standard. Like if whether I'm playing first simp or my partner is, I
Yeah.
want it to at least be like one v like they get voted on six and then like
Yeah.
going from there.
1v5 basically. That they
Yeah.
can do. Yeah, and
Ye-
like even better if they think there might still be two imps alive.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I also think too like sniping kills isn't the worst thing. Like if it if there's multiple people in the area, like I love those type of kills where like people just walk. If you kill like outside of comms and weapons, let's say, and someone's in comms and someone's in weapons, they just both walk out at the same time, and it looks so weird.
Yeah.
Those kills, like, I think even if you get shot first as imp,
Yeah,
there
because
might
someone
be like
else is
one
going
or
to get
two other
shot.
crew getting shot as well.
Exactly, yeah. Killing in a cluster is pretty good. It's a little bit like a stack kill, but it's just like killing between two crew is pretty good. Even better if those two crew hard accuse each other, then that's the dream.
Right. Yeah. It's if you have two crew. Yeah.
Two crew and a 50-50, yeah. This is like very hard to orchestrate, but sometimes it happens just like the stars align.
Yeah. So I think like overall like just general imp things I guess maybe like I it's happened a couple times already this season where like I just get caught like killing, which sucks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean
Uh,
that's gonna happen. Like sometimes
yeah,
because your imp vision is only so good, and there's gonna be desync. Like especially if you try to
right.
kill in a risky area, or you just get unlucky. Like sometimes a crew will appear out of nowhere, like just glitch across the screen because they're playing in EU and you're playing in NA, and they just suddenly teleport towards you. It's like okay, that
Yeah,
sucks.
it's just like okay, what the hell? Yeah.
Yep, yep. So yeah, if you imagine in your mind a like imp setup on 10, let's say you've just spawned into the lobby and
Mhm.
your imp partner is, let's say, Hufo. Are you going to
Okay.
be first or second imp?
Probably first.
Okay, so you're going to be first imp, and then what do? Are you going to go fake nav task? Are you going to do
I
keys?
always, whether I'm a crewman or an imp, I always run up to check if I have keys.
Yep. So then
Like every
keys is
time.
not in your list, let's say, so then you immediately double back.
Yep.
And then where are you going to go? Are you going to go lab? Are you going to go
Uh,
electrical? Or are you
I
going to go
pretty
office or
much my
weapons?
met. I mean, everyone knows my meta, so I don't really care about
Sure.
saying it. I always go to lab, whether I'm a crewmate or an imp. Doesn't really matter.
Cool.
And
So you
then
always go lab, and then are you gonna go fake like drill, or are you gonna
yeah,
look at
yeah.
your
So
task list?
I'll fake like I don't like to fake drill. Just because if only three people can have drill,
Okay.
so
So no,
uh,
not drill. You're gonna fake some other
yeah.
task, some
I'll
random
usually
task
fake
in
like
lab, like
temperature,
telescope or
telescope,
temperature.
or vials.
Cool.
Uh, and
Bios
then
is like the best to fake because you could just get on and off the task and then dance
yep.
around and yeah.
Uh,
There's no question around timing on it. Yeah, yeah.
and then most of the time I'll go into office, and I would say like lately, if there's like if it's a really stacked lobby and I know
Mhm.
people are playing office, I'll
Mhm.
just go into specimen with crewmate or imp. Doesn't matter, just because I know there's gonna be people in office, so I don't
Right.
need to go check it.
And very
As opposed,
unlikely that you'll die there too.
yeah, and it's just like as opposed to a jungle lobby, like I don't
Right.
know any of the players, I'm going to office.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so I mean like depending on who see me run into lab, like I might get a kill specie hallway, but probably very unlikely. If I go to office, I'm just checking vitals, checking admin, getting a sense where everyone's at.
Yep.
If I feel that like there's a lot of people in the office area, I'll just call comms, not lights, because people just tend to stack on admin
Yep.
or
Yep. So you
uh
call comms,
vitals.
and then they go fix comms.
They go fix comms, and if you can get a kill, I mean this could be completely wrong. This is just my personal opinion. If you can get a kill after like 3 or 4 people just left office and like there's people running around in office,
Mm-hmm.
and then just like cop an event and then say like, oh, your partner is clearing you or something, like I think
Yep.
that's a great kill because there's so many people
Yep.
just like unaccounted for. You don't know how old it is, like because comms are out.
Okay. So suppose we go with that setup. Where
Hmm.
was your imp partner? Because he was playing second imp, so he's probably in office, right?
Yeah.
So
So
he
I'm
runs with the cluster of people that goes and fixes comms, and how's he going to
Mhm.
clear you?
um I mean, at that point, like he could just say like he saw like if I let's say I kill like office vent like left by wires,
Yes.
and I maybe like
And in this scenario, you absolutely cannot be seen
yeah,
because otherwise the clear won't work, and comms is down, not lights. So you're going to have to
right,
like stick away from the group, and then you snipe some kill, and then you hide in the vent. And now you want your imp partner to clear you. So how are you going to
yes,
do that? Because he doesn't have admin info because comms is down. So
hmm
what's he going to do to clear you?
I would say either if hopefully he's like coming back last, and he could say he's seen me running from O2 area, or he's seen me like running down from like electrical and like behind the stack.
Okay, so you need him to claim to see you at the edge of his vision.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, if it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. Like I'll type to them, be like, "Can you clear me for this?" And then if they can't, then like if it's gonna pair us too, obviously, then I'll just like I'll put myself in the
Yeah, here's
list
an
of
idea for
us.
you. Do you always play the same color, or do you play like different colors?
Ah, yeah, I play dark green. Yeah.
Okay, so then maybe you can imp chat to your partner saying like, say that you see someone in a green color. This way it's not gonna hard pair you. Say like, oh, I saw a green color at the top of my screen. Who was that? And then you can say that's you.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good idea.
Right? Because then he
Yeah.
doesn't have to say, I saw Joey, right? Like, I saw JoeJoe, right? Instead, he can be like, who is this? And then you can say that's you. Like, you're claiming a blip, effectively.
Yeah. 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 That's an interesting idea. It's like, and then that goes back like to way before when I was talking about like getting cleared. If he's on a stack with like 2 other crewmates
Yep.
and they're three-way clear, and then he says he saw me, like some people won't put it together that like
Yes. Now, even better, he can tell you what he sees, imp chat it to you. Now, you can gaslight them saying that you're in the stack, and then you can even give information that you would only know if you're in the stack.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's also really good.
Right? Like, suppose that he's in O2 and he sees, like, Rocker on, uh, like, water wheels.
Mhm.
You can be like, yeah, I'm doing canisters. Rocker, I can see you just started doing water wheels. Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're not in O2, you're in a fucking vent in office. But
Yeah.
your imp partner can give away information in imp chat that makes it look like you're in O2.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. I would definitely try that. I think the only thing you'd have to be careful of is just getting accused of imp vision. If like
Right. But
they don't see you at
claim
all.
that you walked into O2 recently and you went down to look for bodies at
To
Waterwheel.
check.
You
Yeah.
saw that he was on Waterwheel and then you went up and did your canisters. Something like that. I mean, like, obviously this is just a theory crafting thing. It
Yeah,
probably has
yeah.
holes in it. Because they can be like, well, where did you come from? You have to be like, oh, I came from cams. And they're like, no, you didn't. I was on cams, says someone else, right? Like, there could be
Hmm.
all sorts of ways this can fall apart. But your hope is that you sound convincing enough that they don't bother asking follow-up questions. So you may have to do like a good sort of poker voice.
Hmm.
Also, it's sort of strategic about when you give this information. So you can sort of stay quiet for most of the meeting and then wait until you get asked where you are and then give the information when it's too late in the meeting for them to sort of ask follow-up questions
Right.
and they don't have time to sort of arrange a vote on you and you might get to survive one more round. Because as first imp, you really just like, you desperately don't want to get voted. Because you're
Right.
sus, you're not clear, you get like fake clear, and then you have to like keep like hanging on to survive until you sort of like eventually are going to get voted off, and then you just like sinking ship, call a sabo at the last second, snag a kill in front of everyone, whatever, kill the hard
Right.
clay. Like you are the desperado.
Yeah, at that point you're just like if you know you're getting voted next round, like you're hitting a Sabo and you're just looking for kills outside.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe even like kill in front of everyone. Like just kill the medbay scanner or like whoever's the best crew, kill them.
right.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, it yeah, there's multiple ways to go about it for sure. It's just like it another thing is too, it really just depends on who you're playing with. I think it's important to like keep that in mind too, because I think there's some players I consider worse than others that know how to meta be better than better players.
Yes, that does happen. There are some players who like their superpower is metaing, or like they
Yeah.
may be someone who can specifically meta you, and then you need to either get rid of them or you need to like figure out how to trick them to sort of like counter the super weapon. Like,
Yeah, because the worst is when you just get like accused on 10 just
right,
based off movement and you're just
yeah,
like what did I even do?
exactly. There was like a player who started noticing that as crew I was going on cams. So then as soon as I got imp, I went on cams, and then I got hard cleared for it. So then of course I'm gonna keep her alive, and then like use that for all it's worth. And yeah, it was a good time. Of course, that imp win got cancelled for some other ridiculous reason, but GG's, right?
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
So are you gonna play more of this season?
I mean, I have been spending a lot of my time lately on non-playing the game type of activities, like doing a bunch of interviews, arranging the tournament, arranging the 5-up lobby type of stuff. And that I think is better return on investment for like the health of the community. But given how much the community has been growing, I think I can step back from some of that and try to have a bit more fun again by playing some more lobbies. I did also apply as mod, so I guess we'll see how that goes. That might
Yeah.
drag me back into sort of work mode. But yeah, I mean, like, what's the point if it's just all work and no play? You know, what did I really get into this for?
Right.
Hopefully, at the end of the day, we have a community that likes to play with each other, and then I can be part of that community too, and also like get to have some fun. And yeah, I don't intend to be all serious mode. I do also want to just like play some fun games.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, you definitely deserve it. I mean, I personally like I would want to stream my games more. I'm just worried about getting sniped and like
Sure. And I think that like that is a risk. I used to be more worried about that than I am now. I think if people really in their hearts want to ruin the game and do that, then it's going to come back to bite them one way or another. Because, you know, karma has a way of coming around, and if they're willing to sort of bend and break the rules that way, there's going to be other ways that they slip up, or they'll get caught, or like, you know, they'll need to show a VOD, and then it's clear that they're sort of alt tabbing out and sniping and all this sort of thing. So I don't know, like it. Eventually, cheaters get caught, and you know,
yeah.
sniping is going to ruin the fun for them as well. So really, they are missing out. Like the whole point of this game is a challenge, right? If you're playing ranked and it's too easy because you're cheating, you're going to get bored eventually. Like
Yeah,
cheating
it's
does
I
remove the
agree.
challenge, right? Like if you just like, oh, I stream sniped, I know exactly who the imposter is, and my MMR went up, everyone will respect me. No, they won't, because like
No,
your skill won't reflect your actual MMR. Like people
that-
can see through like a fake ascender. Like
yeah, I
yeah,
uh I don't think I should say names, but
sure. I mean, keeping it all anonymous, there are maybe sometimes people who have an inflated MMR for whatever
yeah,
reason.
and
Either they
like
play in very hand-picked lobbies, like they never play jungle, and so they never have to carry, or like for whatever reason, like their MMR is higher than their perceived skill amongst the community, and that's not a situation you want to be in. You want people to respect you, and therefore you should play in a respectable way. If you are
right.
clogging or like cheating or whatever it may be, like it's just going to end up with people will ultimately not respect you.
Yeah, I've lost like so much respect for people that I find out are cheating.
Right.
And especially like, it's I think it's one thing if they're a little younger, because there are some younger people on the
Definitely.
server.
Definitely.
But
I mean, I
like,
used to cheat at games
I'm
when I was
talking
young.
about gr
Yeah.
Wait, what was that?
I mean, when I was young, I cheated at games because it's like a maturity thing as well, right? Like,
Yeah,
It.
Right, yeah, exactly. And that was exactly my point. Is like if these people are like, just getting into high school or whatever it is, like,
Mhm.
but then there's grown ass men cheating at the game.
You picture like
And it's
some 50-year-old like getting back at these kids.
yeah, or like I mean, I would say like it's
Now
like
I'll show them.
bro, it's just like why would you ever do it's just like oh, like come on, like you're cheat after all of that, after the 150 games I played with you this
Right.
season,
And you're
I
gonna
find
ruin
out
it
that you're
all.
cheating and that
Exactly.
like my crew wins are not even
Yeah. That's so disappointing. Like I remember back in when Nutters was starting to die, and then I found out a lot of people were cheating. I was like, this is so sad because it kills the community a lot faster because it's no longer we're playing the same game. Like we're a completely different playing field here, where you have a mod menu and you can just control who the imps are, and like you're not trying to solve the mystery anymore. You're just straight up cheating. It's like yeah, disappointing.
uh, yeah, very.
Yeah, but I mean, all of that aside, I think that that is maybe the darker side of things. Like there are cheaters. There are also like the people who are interested in catching cheaters, which I think is a fascinating
I
concept.
I've been in there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't want to say names, but Chicken, who we brought up before, he
Mm-hmm.
wanted me to bring it up in the interview. He said that, uh, or not. He said he told me to talk about it. We caught somebody on Nutters cheating
Yeah.
like
Yep.
a month in advance.
Yeah.
We were both talking about it. And we're like, there's no way that this guy is not cheating. And then he adds me to a group DM with like 10 people who are like also accusating him.
Yeah.
And then we finally got him in a call, and he
And he
turns out
admitted.
he was cheating.
Did he admit or did he get screen shared?
He got screen shared.
Snap. Yeah. I remember catching a certain player whose name was changing color and showing the names of the creators of the cheaters, which was like the cheater engine builders' way of advertising their cheats to other players. But it ended up proving this person was cheating beyond a doubt, which is such a funny way for someone to get caught because that was also being streamed. So it was just like caught red-handed. GG's. Yeah, good times. I think that could be interesting content as well, sort of like the ways that investigations take place to catch cheaters and sort of how the cheater catching technology is an arms race against the cheating technology.
Yeah, I mean, it. I don't know. If you're gonna cheat at this game, I just think it's so cringe. Like you said, it takes the whole purpose out of the game.
It does, but there's now a new sub game that evolves, which is catching the cheaters. Now that's a
Yeah, and
completely
I
different
wonder
game,
if
of
they'll make
course,
like a
but
task force to
yeah,
like just specifically
I
do
think
that.
that is very interesting. Do you know who Frank Abagnale Jr. is, or did you ever watch or read Catch Me If You Can?
I've heard of Catch Me If You Can. I haven't.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with it though.
great movie, great book. I remember reading it as a kid, and then I was so excited when they made it into a movie. It has Leonardo DiCaprio, and yeah, great movie. It's all about a guy from real life who was like a master conman. Like he was a check fraud specialist, and uh, he was basically an imposter. Like he would go in and pretend to be a doctor or a pilot and just act as if he was a pilot. Like he would go buy the clothes for a jet pilot and then just show up for quote unquote work one day and then just sort of demand to be taken seriously and then like was allowed to become a pilot or whatever like by just posing as one. All
Is that a
sorts of
Quentin Tarantino movie?
I don't know for sure who the
Okay.
director was, but it's definitely worth a watch. It's fascinating seeing like how these con men, which is like confidence men, use their confidence to sort of socially engineer these situations. And in addition to the confidence tricks, he also has some mechanical cheating tricks like check forgery and getting the correct paper, getting a check printing mill, all the like super equipment that he eventually builds up. And that's sort of like there's some parallels between that and like cheating in Among Us a little bit. And then further, after he gets caught, he starts working for the FBI to catch other cheaters. So it's very
Right.
interesting. It's like the adage like it takes one to know one, or like you need a cheater to catch a cheater, because
Yeah.
the cheaters have to reveal their secrets. Like what are the specific files that cheaters use, that only gets sort of determined by having cheaters get caught, and then like you sort of use the investigation, and like those cheaters themselves know the mindset of other cheaters, so they can help sort of catch on to the red flags of someone who might be a cheater, like suspicious patterns, or like decisions being made with very little evidence, and other cheaters know what's possible with the cheats, so they know what to look for. It's very interesting subculture of Among Us.
Yeah, and it's ironic too, because it's like you're playing a game, and we're basically professional liars.
Right. Exactly. Right. Like we're training people to be better liars. So
Yeah,
when you take that to the next level and you lie about whether you're playing fairly, you can get away with all sorts of quote unquote imp plays. But like if they're a good enough crew, they will suss you out, and eventually you will get rolled off the ship.
what's your opinion on like Among Us with like a face cam?
I love it. I've done it before for casual games.
Oh, hold on, you're a
Um,
bit laggy. I don't know if it's my internet or not.
uh, I'm on wired Ethernet, and I've been able to hear you the whole time. Not sure what's going on. Uh,
Yeah, it might. I don't think it's my internet. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave and come back and see if that does
okay,
anything.
cool.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you better now.
Cool. Yeah, sometimes Discord is a little spotty. Yeah, so coming back to this, remind me again the question.
Like, what do you think of like Among Us, but a face cam is
That's
required
right.
for
Yeah, so
everybody?
I've done it before in casual games, and it's really fun. I mean, it's definitely more of a sort of party thing because until people get used to it, you can reveal a lot of information, especially if you're dead, and you could be like making facial
Oh yeah, you would
expressions.
definitely have to shut your camera off if you're
Yeah,
dead.
if you die, face cam needs to go off. Also, it is possible to communicate with sign language, and because you're supposed to have microphone off during the round, you could also suggest that cams should be off during the round, because
Yes.
otherwise you could be like indicating that you died by like going right, like or whatever, or like the fact that your face cam turns off is vitals timing. So like
Right.
face cams need to be off during the round, and they can be on during the meeting. And now you can get all sorts of body language things and cues, and like you can
Right.
read someone's poker face and see if they're lying and so on. I think it makes for a very fun game. Um, there is also sort of like a internet privacy thing. Like a lot of people are not comfortable with face cams. Like
Yeah.
every single person I've interviewed, face cam has been off. But
Oh, I was gonna ask if I should put mine on.
if you want it on, go for it, man. I'm totally cool with it.
Yeah, I'm just worried that like my mic is gonna because when I was streaming during the tournament, when I spoke for whatever reason, my mic was like
Oh, like desync or whatever. Yeah,
yeah, it was like 3 seconds behind my like my mouth opening or
got
in
it.
front of yeah. So
Yeah.
I won't. I think getting on the tail end of things anyway. So I mean,
Exactly.
I'll
So
just
maybe for
yeah.
a future interview, or like I'm sure that there's like many sub series like beyond just interviews. Like another series I want to start up is like Imp Lab, like talking about brainstorming what is possible as Imp. What are some sick first Imp plays, some sick second Imp plays? What is like the best imposter synergy we've seen? Like review some clips, some VODs. There's also coaching sessions, like specifically going over VOD review with individuals and talking through what we did well, what could be better. And then there's a separate series around like to catch a cheater type of deal.
Yeah. I definitely think the VOD reviews that'd be pretty cool.
Definitely.
Like, and I think also too you can implement like the coaching thing. Like if uh maybe someone like just completely fails as imp and
Yeah.
like they could have won given
Yes.
they said some like things differently. Maybe just have like a good player like coach them on what to say. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Some
exactly
ideas.
my sort of goal here is to let good players teach other people how to get better. And you know, like if you have some hero in the community that you want to learn to be more like them, you know, get them on stream and let them like give you some tips. Some people are like better coaches than others. It really helps to have someone who has like an others oriented attitude, because an attitude from a lot of good players is like, oh, I don't care, it's just a game, or like I don't have time for that effectively.
Hmm.
So like not everyone is gonna be willing to do this sort of thing, but I do believe that you know everyone has the potential to be a good coach if they are willing, and have the motivation to do it. Because like everyone has some value to add. Like anyone who's played more than one ranked game of Among Us has something to share for the totally new people, because you can tell them what's your experience like, what was helpful for your ramp up, like what surprised you, what did you wish you had known when you set out. Even just warning them about the toxicity is like a good way to sort of set their expectations around what it's going to be like.
You want to know who has a really interesting perspective on the game?
Yeah, tell me.
Raka, Racka.
Yes,
She
Raka is amazing.
she she plays very,
Very
I would
differently
just
from
say,
most players.
different.
Yep, exactly. She plays
Um,
very much on meta, and she tries to uh, figure it out very much with deduction, and especially social deduction, more so than mechanical. Like she despises medbay clears, for example. Right, like that to her is boring and dull, and she also doesn't really like it when the imposter just clears themselves by faking that they have medbay. That she sees as dull and boring, and she also puts a high value on people treating each other well. So I see a lot of myself in her.
yeah,
Like she's also another Australian who cares about people, and cares about getting better, and wants to play with people who don't clog, all this sort of thing. So yeah,
yeah. I think, and she gets. I feel bad. She gets roasted a lot for just like trying to
she does
get
get
the.
roasted a lot because like sometimes she'll play in a suboptimal way when it is possible to like technically increase her MMR by just leaning in on the mechanical plays a little bit more, because they
Yeah,
are like theoretically better. It is just unfortunate because she wants it to be a little bit more cerebral than it really is, and a little bit more like on the subjective things when there's a lot of hard data that she could be
right.
using to like truly increase her win rate.
Yeah, and she can like. I think also too like the reality of things is people aren't gonna scoop down to play how she wants to play.
Right.
So I think she like has to adapt in that way,
Yeah.
like of just picking up the info after like, okay, like this person said this,
Yeah.
instead of going back to something that was said 30 seconds ago
Yeah.
because you weren't sure.
Yeah, and like she's on a growth journey. Like she's definitely playing to
Yes.
improve, and I think
She's
that's
definitely gotten better from when I
yep,
played with her like at the beginning and like
yep,
up until
exactly.
recently.
She's like figured out a lot of the way things work around here, and the thing I admire most about her is that she doesn't have an ego, and she's willing to improve,
Yeah.
like willing to grow, accepts fault, owns her errors, and like helps those around her. So like that's all extremely positive.
Yeah, fully agree.
Okay, Jojo, we are wrapping up in the final moments of the stream. I would like to, at this point, ask if there's anything that you feel passionate about that you want to like give a shout out, or like any closing thoughts from you.
Um, Closing thoughts. We didn't really get to it didn't come up. I think like people should for crewmate and imps,
Hmm.
just like my 2 cents. I think voting analysis is super important, like knowing who voted who and when to claim votes as imp and when not to claim votes as imp.
Yep,
I don't have time to get into the details of it right now, but I think that's something that like everyone should be aware of
totally.
and focus more on.
Hmm.
Um,
And maybe like we could do a follow-up interview, and you could prepare some of that, um, and talk it through. I think that could
yeah,
be.
definitely. I think honestly the way that if you're gonna do like an imp lab thing or like
Hmm.
a coaching or like improving thing, I think you should maybe hold a vote and say like out of these 5 players, who do you want to hear from the most? And maybe they
Yeah,
can
I
do
mean,
an
there's
interview
there's
too.
that. There's like who do people want to hear from, but there's also like who is willing to commit the time, because what I've found is most people have challenges with fitting this sort of quote unquote work into their lives, because
Right.
ultimately a lot of people want to just play video games, right? This is just a hobby, and then doing something like this hour-long interview was appealing to you, but to a lot of players that people want to hear from, they couldn't be bothered. Or like they're
Yeah.
in a totally different time zone from the two other people that we want to hear from. Like there's an EU player mixed in with a West Coast player, and they're gonna have to meet at like a totally random time that is gonna
Yeah.
be
Right.
conflict with school, with work, with like family time, lots and lots of logistical challenges. So I try to find a balance between people who are worth like specifically targeting for like a series like coaching, you need a strong player, versus who's actually available and willing and motivated to do it. And then also, like, can this happen in a timely fashion? Like, I don't
Right,
want it to be like something that gets put off for months. You know?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess at that point, it's just it comes down to who wants to volunteer to do that,
Yes.
and then it'd be
Exactly.
your discretion as
Yep.
to who's going to do
And
what.
I try to give everyone a chance. Like anyone who wants an interview, I've not said no yet. There might be a point where eventually it gets overwhelming, but you know we haven't hit that yet. I'm putting myself up for a lot of hours each day, like 6 a.m. till
Yeah.
7:30 a.m. and 8 p.m. till 11 p.m. with some caveat that I might be already booked or I might need to do family time stuff and so on. But for the most part, like, yeah, if you
Yeah,
guys
it's
want to
more than
chat, that's
fair.
great. So I think it's working out
Uh,
pretty well.
Last words.
Yeah.
Don't be super toxic. Um, and try to get better at the game. That's for everybody.
Get good. Very cool.
Get
Okay,
good.
we're gonna start the raid. We're gonna raid Zordland by request.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna go join that lobby actually when
very
the spot
cool.
opens up. So
Let's go ahead and raid. Awesome, man. Thanks for the chat today.
yeah,
Take
thank you for
care.
taking the time.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right. Bye now.
Take care.